In this video, we're going to cover the different design settings that we can configure. First, we have the logo and title. Now this is pretty straightforward, where we're going to override the site name, title, upload our logo, our favicon mobile logo image, and so forth. Again, very straightforward. As far as uploading your logo, the best way you can do this is actually to upload an SVG vector. That way it scales perfectly when it's on the different types of mobile devices and when the desktop version is essentially scaled to be bigger or smaller. That vector logo will scale much better than a bitmap. Outside of the logo and title, we have Style Editor. Now the Style Editor is actually where we can make a lot of different configurations as far as the color scheme of the site. So the main part of this is actually going to revolve around the header. So as far as the navigation goes, we can choose, okay, what do we want the font to be? What do we want the size of the text to be? What do we want the thickness of the weight to be? Do we want to make it all uppercase and so forth? And what's not always obvious is the ability to change the hover or active capability. So let's go into edit hover, and from here we can change the hover color. For instance, instead of black, we can make it gray. So when we're hovering over the text, or essentially the link, it becomes gray. And we can make it essentially become italic. That way, again, we know we're hovering over that link. And if we want to change the active, we can come down here and choose, okay, how do we want, what do we want the active color to be? Well, let's make the active color, red. And right now we're on the home page, so you can see this is actually live changing the page that we are actually on and the way it's going to be displayed. And then again, we can choose the weight and size and so forth if we want to change it for the active or hover color. We can also choose what we want to be the navigation background, as far as in this case, it's this white. And then the top bar is actually referring to the account login, the shopping cart, and search bar. Outside of the header and the drop-down navigation, the drop-down navigation will, again, if I'm hovering over products, this will drop down. What we want to be the background, the border, and the text can all be over it. The body is straightforward. Within the body of the website, we have our default colors. But again, most of the time, you're going to override whatever these colors are within the individual widget. Headings. So within widgets, we're going to use the heading capability, and we can essentially create presets within the style editor for these headings. So if you use these, you're going to streamline the process greatly, and you're going to make it a lot more consistent. If you look at the difference between header 1 and header 3, well, this is actually using the same font, but the spacing is different and so forth, and so is the thickness of the text. And it really shows you, okay, using the same font but different spacing and thicknesses can give you a drastically different effect. And if you want to keep that consistency and so forth, it's a good idea to configure these headings in the beginning. The footer, we can override the footer colors, or we can actually go into the footer themselves and customize those widgets. Buttons, a lot like the widget or the headings widget, we have a button widget, and by overriding the standard, minor action, important action, hero action, add to cart, we can essentially streamline the process whenever we add buttons. And not only streamlining it, we're keeping the consistency that we're really looking for. So if you want to save different looks of buttons and so forth, we can do that here. And then choosing what type of button we want to add when we come to widgets, button, we can add it, and then we can override what exactly type of button that we're going to be using by default and what we want the color scheme to be if necessary, if we want to override it. Lastly, at the bottom of the page, we actually have the ability to override the different designer colors. Now, the best way to do this is actually to come to the designer page and then come back into design, style editor, scroll all the way down to the bottom. And if you want to change the different colors within the site designer tool, you absolutely can. One suggestion we make is to keep a lot of the text color black. If you start changing this text color to something lighter, it can be often harder to really kind of see. So just always keep that in mind. But again, using the what you see, what you get capabilities, we can really quickly start seeing, okay, if we change this color, it does this. If we change that color, it does that. And it's very exciting to be able to do this in live and see what the output is going to be. Outside of the style editor, we have the page options. Now the page options, let's go to a more common page like the About page to display these. So within, again, backend design, page options, we have breadcrumbs. Right now they're hidden. If we displayed them, breadcrumbs, just like Hansel and Gretel, it shows you essentially where you have been, and it's tracking the different pages. So if you wanted to go back to a previous page, breadcrumbs can make it easier for the customer to do that. Within the header, we can choose, do we want to display the currency? So the current currencies right here. We also have the ability to display the search bar, and then the account information is pretty much always going to be on by default. Outside of that, we can choose even how we want our drop-down menu to work. So right now, our drop-down menu is simple. And because it's simple, it's just automated. It's just going to be simple text and so forth. But if I wanted it to expand and have full capabilities of adding images and widgets and so forth to the drop-down menu, I can come into more of an advanced feature like page width. And by selecting that page width and then clicking save, we actually open new pages. So within the pages, if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, now we have the drop-down menu pages within here, and I can select the page that I want to override the drop-down for, and we can, again, like I said, add different widgets and be using essentially different navigation tools other than simple text. Okay, we'll come back to the About page, design, and the last section within design is the social site links. This is where you're going to input the social link to your social networks that you're using, whether they're Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, or YouTube. By having these links here, it's very powerful for your consumer to then navigate to view more of your brand as a total company, and again, gain trust in making that purchase. Hopefully you find this video helpful, and thank you for watching.